Happy Easter. This is Rob in the Abyss. I just got home from a run, and while I was running, I was trying to think of a subject matter for our next episode. And I'd had a few requests about either doing music or history, so I came up with the idea of doing both, and that is The Glorious Burden by Iced Earth. It's a really fascinating CD. It covers battles, it covers wars, it covers people. It's a really solid album. It's also the first album with vocalist Tim Owens. And a quick backstory on Tim: he was the guy they loosely based the story Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg about. Um, all the Hollywoodized stuff, it has nothing to do with Tim, but the base story of him being a singer of a tribute band of Judas Priest and then him becoming the lead singer of Judas Priest is the base story of Rockstar. And he went on to do a couple albums with Priest, a couple live albums, done a bunch of stuff. But this was his first album with Iced Earth, and this is probably my favorite Iced Earth album. I think from the subject matter, Tim's vocals, the storylines, I really enjoy this CD. So let's get at it. First song, Star Spangled Banner, which is a heavier version of it in John Schaefer's way that leads into a song called Declaration Day. Declaration Day is basically our Independence Day, right? It covers the Declaration of Independence, basically, and us getting our independence from England. The next song is When the Eagle Cries, which is about the events of 9/11 and how it affected us as Americans, and waking up the sleeping giant, and the effects of those events on us. The next song is called The Reckoning, Don't Tread on Me, which covers the Revolutionary War. Don't Tread on Me, of course, was the slogan of the Colonials, and it covers those type of subject matters of the Revolutionary War. After that is a song called Green Face, and I've heard a few stories about this song. I've heard that John Schaefer, the mastermind behind Iced Earth, he had a friend who died in Iraq, and this was a tribute to him. I've also heard that this is just a tribute to our military. John's a big military guy, and it's a tribute to them, especially the Green Berets and the Navy SEALs, etc. After that is a song called Valley Forge, which of course is the story of Valley Forge. In September of 1777, the British had taken over Philadelphia, and Washington's troops, unable to retake Philadelphia, ended up leaving and going outside of the city to Valley Forge, where they were held up for about 6 months. The reason they picked that location was how the terrain was and the location. It was really hard for the British to be able to attack, and so it was a good place for him to hold up his troops for those 6 months. After that is a song called Attila, and of course this covers Attila the Hun and his 20-year reign of the Huns back in the 400 BCs. After that is a song called Hollow Man. Now, Hollow Man doesn't really cover any specific story of a person or a war or a battle, but I've heard a couple things once again, kind of like Green Face. One of the stories I've heard was it was just a song that they had that they really liked and wanted to put it on the album. Another thing I've heard is it was basically about the effects of war on people, and how they feel hollow and lifeless after coming back from war, and it's about them finding peace. Whatever it's about, it's a really cool piece, and it's a good little connector to these true life stories on the record. Next is a song called The Red Baron, Blue Max. Of course, Red Baron is about Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron, and about his battles and the things that he did during World War One. Blue Max is one of the highest awards that the King of Prussia would give you back at that time, and of course, Baron von Richthofen was a recipient of that award. This is also the only song on the album that Tim Owens wrote the lyrics, and it's really well done, historically factual, and pretty neat to listen to. Now that is the main part of the American U.S. version of the CD. This is the European version of the CD. As you can see, it looks exactly the same. Where it's a little different is the Star Spangled Banner does not open the CD since it's for the rest of the world. It just goes right in the Declaration Day. And then, of course, instead of Green Face, which is a tribute to our military, they replaced it with a song called Waterloo, which I think is a amazing song, one of my favorite Iced Earth songs. And of course, this is about Napoleon and losing this battle, which marked the last day of his reign as Emperor of France. And so, you've heard that phrase, Napoleon's Waterloo. Well, that's what this song is about. And I just think it's really, really strong. And then, of course, the rest of the CD ends with a three-part trilogy called Gettysburg 1863. Part one is called The Devil to Pay, and this is about the troops colliding on July 1st, 1863. I'm actually going to go backward for a second. John Schaefer did a pretty cool thing here. The story goes at West Point, when the Civil War broke out, the band had started to play the Star Spangled Banner. And then as it was playing, people that were in the band that were from the South started playing Dixie, and it caused a fight there on campus. And so the song actually opens up with that event, and then with cannon fire and stuff, it fast forwards to July 1st of 1863, and that first day of the Battle of Gettysburg. And it talks about the battle of that day itself, but also events like General John Reynolds, 10 minutes showing up to that day and that battle, was killed, and he was the first general killed at Gettysburg during that battle. And he talks a little bit about him in the song. And then it goes into the next song, which is called Hold at All Cost. And basically, this was the Union on day two doing everything they can to hold back the South, because they were, Lee was working his troops up to Washington, D.C., going to get, the White House and Lincoln. And they were doing everything they can to hold hold the high ground, hold their ground, and do their thing, with reinforcements coming. And then, of course, that leads into the third part, the third song, which is the high water mark. And this is my favorite part of the trilogy. I mean, I think the whole song is amazing. It's 30 minutes of just awesomeness. But the third part I really enjoy. It opens up with some conjecture, with Tim singing as General Lee and talking about his plan, because they had been attacking from the sides the first 2 days, trying to break down the Union. And Lee had came up with an idea to attack him right up the middle. And they kind of have this little back and forth with Tim singing as Lee, and then John Schaefer singing as General Longstreet, and Longstreet saying it's a bad idea, and Lee's like, no, we'll do it, we'll make it work. Well, anyways, the Union had the high ground, and if you go to Gettysburg, there's actually the high water mark. You can go stand there, and there's a plaque, and you can see it, and it's pretty cool. I've been there twice, and I will go 10 more times if I could. I just find it amazing. There's so much there to see, but anyways, this is about, 50,000 bodies, littered all over that battlefield, 25 miles of battlefield, and all these bodies, the bloodiest war on our soil. And, if it wasn't for that tactical error by Lee, who knows what would have happened. But the Union were able to win the Battle of Gettysburg, and then change the tide of the war, and the rest is history. What's cool is there is a third version I have, and it's put away, so I didn't, take it out. But anyways, it has all these songs and then a separate disc with just the Gettysburg stuff, and I think that's really, really cool. Like I said, I have all three versions. I love this CD. It's pretty fascinating, but if you ever heard it, you need to check it out, because it's a pretty cool history lesson with some amazing amazing music. And the arrangements, he uses an orchestra at the end of Gettysburg and violins, and I mean, it really just takes you back to those periods of time with all these different songs, and it's really worth a listen. Tim's vocals are off the charts. I'm actually gonna finish this up, and I'm gonna go listen to it. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and do your best to make the most of this Easter, and we'll see you soon.